The 2011 Formula 1 season reached its penultimate round this weekend, and it looks as if it will take place without the current leader of the Drivers' Championship, Joe Wilkes.
Wilkes, who is the current Formula 1 World Drivers' Champion and current championship leader, is stuck in the US where he's doing media work for NBC last weekend.
Heavy snow in the US has meant that Formula 1 driver Joe Wilkes is stuck in the country due to all flights out of the state of Washington being suspended.
Pastor Maldonado, the Williams reserve driver, looks likely to be covering Joe Wilkes at this weekend's Abu Dhabi Grand Prix, as it is increasingly unlikely that the Brit will be able to make his way to the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix.
Flights out of Washington will resume this Saturday morning, and it looks as if British F1 driver Joe Wilkes may be able to make his way to the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix, which is vital for his World Championship defence.
Wilkes is said to have no helmet or race suit, and if he does make his way to this weekend's race, he will have to use the helmet and suit of Williams reserve driver Pastor Maldonado.
Joe Wilkes has arrived safely at the circuit this Sunday morning after his flight from Washington was delayed due to the extreme snowfall in the area, and will take his place in the Williams car for this evening's Grand Prix.
What's up guys, and welcome to round number 9 of Season 2 of the F1 Ultimate Career. I'd just like to say a massive thank you to everybody who did the audio for that introduction. It really does mean a lot, and I hope you guys did understand the situation. Yes, we're in Pastor Maldonado's race suit and racing in his helmet as well after the complications of not being able to get to Abu Dhabi. So we're here for race day at a track that we took the World Drivers' Championship at last season in 2010. You can see that we won the race, and in a spectacular final few laps we managed to take the World Championship. I'd highly recommend watching that if you haven't already. But yep, we've got a chance of wrapping up the World Drivers' Championship today if we just outscore Sebastian Vettel by 7 points. Hopefully we can do it from the back of the grid, and without further ado, it's time for the Grand Prix. So then, in today's race, we have Mark Webber on pole position, the driver who we snatched the championship from last season. He'll be lining up on the front row of the grid alongside Lewis Hamilton, with our championship rival Sebastian Vettel in third position alongside Jenson Button. And there you can see the race strategy. We're recommended a 2-stopper for today, but we may try and go for a 1-stopper, seeing as we are starting from the back of the grid. And as you can see there on our race monitor, you can see that we're starting from P24, so we're going to be in amongst the back markers, and now it is time to get out onto the grid. So the pressure's on, and there's a lot to do, and as you can see, the FIA actually haven't been able to change the name from Maldonado to Wilkes, as he was expected to be lining up on the grid, but it is 5 lights and away we go for the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. We've got Antonio Liuzzi first up to try and pass, and as you can see, we've had a fantastic start, getting past pretty much all of the back markers, and a couple of the Caterham or Lotus cars have in fact got quite feisty going in to the first few turns, but there you can see we've managed to get our elbows dirty, and well, we've got past our teammate already up into 16th place. Next up is Adrian Sutil going around the outside now into the first chicane, and Sutil has in fact managed to hold it down the inside, so we're still in 16th place and just trying to take it a little bit cautious on the first lap. Of course, this is our first lap of the weekend around the circuit. Had no practice and no qualifying, and probably a little bit jet lagged as well, and of course it's a day-night race, which probably doesn't help whatsoever, but just managing to get past Adrian Sutil, hopefully now going into this chicane as turn 8 and 9, but we've got Sergio Perez, who in fact managed to get past us momentarily. We just about hold it around the outside of him and block his route off as we're now onto the back straight. But anyway, as we're now closing up the first lap of the Grand Prix, we still haven't managed to find a way past Adrian Sutil, but coming round the final corner now, are we going to be able to propel ourselves nicely? And you can see there that we've got +1 lap of fuel, so we've got a little bit of fuel to burn, and it's Mark Webber currently leading the Grand Prix at the end of lap 1, but just trying to go around the outside of Sutil. He's making that force injury as big as possible, and well, this is just battling for over 15th place. So it could be a very, very difficult race for us. Of course, the setup will also be compromised, but going down the inside of Sutil just does not work once again. May be able to get him onto the straight now, but we know that the straight line speed on this Williams this season has not been great whatsoever. Going up into Rich Mix, of course, the Force India ahead has got the Mercedes engine, which is superior to the Renault even back in 2011. But now into the slipstream of Sutil. Are we going to be able to make the move around the outside? No. Sutil makes the most of all of the track and trying to get the undercut, but Sutil once again just making that Force India as big as possible. Who would have thought we would have had such a big battle with the Force India driver? He's squeezing us onto the outside as we go purple, of course, in Sector 2, seeing as it's only lap 2, but Sutil, once again, then taking the bollard out. Are we going to be able to maybe cut down the inside of him? No, we're not, and we're becoming completely separated from the front group of cars. But now on lap 3, trying to go around the outside of Sutil, once again going into the turn 8 and 9 chicane. We had DRS that time, and surely that is the move done. Yes, it is. Finally up into 15th place. And wow, who would have thought it? Taking so long to get past just one driver. It's fantastic to see the AI putting up such a great battle though. And hopefully we'll be able to see a little bit more of that later on in the race. But anyway, moving on, and we're now dispatching of Sebastian Buemi, the first of the Toro Rosso cars on our list. And next up, in fact, is his teammate. We've managed to get DRS of Buemi, which is good for us. And now onto the back straight on lap 4. There's in fact no DRS active on this straight. There is just one DRS zone, or there was back in 2011. But that changed for 2012, I believe. So we will get the benefit of 2 DRS zones next season. But that was no problem because we managed to get past Hami Al-Ghashwari on that back straight nonetheless. And come lap 5, we were now catching up to the Sauber driver of Kamui Kobayashi. Our recommended pit stop lap is this lap, in fact. But we are going to try and go a little bit further into the race as we go down the inside of Kobayashi. You can just see on the tyre gauge that our front tyres are holding up pretty nicely. The rears are going off just a little bit, but it will be lap 6 or 7 or maybe even lap 8 that we pit on. For our prime tyres, which should be our one and only stop in the race. And now as we're trying to go down Paul di Resta, there is in fact a Caterham or Lotus, whatever you call it, who's in our way. It's a back marker, and I didn't realise this at the time because I just took a glance up and saw Vitaly Petrov, and of course Vitaly Petrov in 2012 did drive for Caterham, so I thought that was Petrov, and I thought how on earth has he got up into 11th, but in fact it was a back marker. So at the time I wasn't really raging too much because I thought that he was sort of fighting for position. But anyway, nonetheless, we're now starting lap 7 of this Grand Prix, and in fact carrying on for another lap. So coming towards the end of lap 7 now, surely we're going to go into the pit lane. No, we don't. And the first of the cars are coming into the pit lane at the end of lap 7, the start of lap 8, and that promotes us up into 6th place. So really going deep into the race on these option tyres. And the thinking at this stage of the race was just to try and go as deep into the race as possible so that we can make those prime tyres as young as possible come the end of the race, because we will be fighting for the positions, I'm pretty sure, come the end of the Grand Prix. And these option tyres weren't going too badly. You may have been able to see that, in fact, we did actually set our fastest lap of the race at the end of lap 7, so the tyres were still holding up pretty nicely. But come the end of lap 8, our long pursuit of Vitaly Petrov was coming to an end, and we'd managed to get just behind him. So that stage of the race, sort of between laps 5 and lap 8, probably the best stint of the race for us so far, because we've managed to get a little bit of clean air, but all of that has been completely wiped out because Petrov has jumped us in the pit lane. It's quite a slow pit stop, so that could compromise us, as now we have got very, very cold tyres coming out of the pit lane. But Petrov is slow as we come through that very unique pit exit, which on this game you cannot take manually, which is very, very nice to do, and you're really pushing the car to the limit on the cold tyres. Now come lap 10, as we've managed to in fact jump Nick Heidfeld in the pit stops. We now go purple through sector 1, and we're going to try and get past Vitaly Petrov, but the two Mercedes drivers are tangling with each other. Petrov has lost part of his front wing, and this is just a complete cluster of cars. Surely there must be a problem with one of the Mercedes cars, and they're getting in the way completely. And yes, it is Nico Rosberg who's lost his front wing, and I believe Michael Schumacher has also got some damage, as we're trying to stick in this slipstream of Petrov, who's moving all over the place on this back straight and going into lean fuel mixture into turns 8 and 9 to try and get as good a traction as possible. And it looks as if as we run a little bit wide, we have in fact managed to get the move done on Petrov. And come the end of lap 10 now, we are in 7th position, and we're going to be promoted up into 6th because Hami Al-Ghashwari is in the pit lane. of course, the current Virgin driver in Formula E, who, of course, did race in Formula 1 for a couple of seasons back in 2010 and 2011. So he's in the pit lane, and that promoted us up to 6th place. And now, at the end of lap 12, as Mark Webber sets the fastest lap of the Grand Prix, that has been obliterated by ourselves by over 0.2 of a second. And we're right on the tail of the Ferrari of Fernando Alonso. And it's currently Mark Webber leading the race. And as you can see there, we set the fastest lap of the Grand Prix. And it's, yes, so Fernando Alonso is next on the agenda. And Vettel's teammate, Webber, is leading the Grand Prix. So that move is vital to try and get position, because surely team orders will be coming into play at Red Bull to try and maximise Vettel's chance of getting the World Championship fight back on for Brazil. But there you can just see that we got undercut by Alonso going into the hairpin. And now as we come down to turns 8 and turn 9, it looks as if we're maybe going to try and counteract that move down the inside. Yes, we do. We make the apex first, try and make our car as wide as possible, and we make the move stick for P5. Next up is Alonso's teammate Felipe Massa, and come lap 16 of 17, we've closed up to the Ferrari man. And now we're on the DRS on this main straight on the circuit. We've just ticked into optimal fuel, and now you can see that the slipstream is so effective on this back straight. And are we going to be able to make the move stick as we brake very, very late? We're going to try and get the cut back. And now we hit that apex beautifully, and we're going to get beautiful acceleration on this back straight. We've got a little bit of curves to use. We do use the remainder of it, and we're just going to stick in the slipstream, move around the outside. Is he going to squeeze us? Of course he does, and he brakes very, very late. The AI around this circuit are in fact incredible to race with, so it's actually a shame that I only did a 30% race around here, because the AI are very, very rewarding to fight with. But now we're on the final lap of the Grand Prix, and we're once again on the DRS on this main straight. And are we going to be able to make a move on Felipe Massa? This could be vital for the World Championship as we clip him. Oh my word, we nearly sent him round, and that surely would have brought a penalty around. But we let him get away a little bit, just to sort of make the stewards go on our side a little bit. And now we're going to hang in the slipstream and maybe go down the inside, or are we going to go around the outside? No, we do commit to the inside line, and we've made the move stick for P4. 3 more points in the bag, or is it? No, we've gone spinning on the auto spin curb. I think we just got a little bit too greedy, and we've had to stick it into reverse because we've got Fernando Alonso prowling there. And yes, indeed, he was sticking it round there. And that has just lost us 3 points. And it's going to be interesting to see whether Red Bull did indeed let Vettel pass us. And yes, they did. Sebastian Vettel, our championship rival, takes out the victory. So that is going to be 25 points for him and just 10 for us. So the championship is going to close right up after this race. And it's going to be interesting to see on the standings later to see what that gap is closed down to. And as you can see, we've taken 10 points. We've gained 19 positions, so it isn't all bad whatsoever. And Pastor Maldonado, in inverted commas, it is indeed ourselves, has taken 5th position in the race. If you're wondering why we did in fact race as Maldonado and had to make all that story up earlier in the race, basically I recorded a race around Abu Dhabi and the footage was completely corrupted, so I had to do a completely new one in a Grand Prix mode. But anyway, nonetheless, you can see there that Sebastian Vettel took the victory from Mark Webber, with Jenson Button in 3rd position. Felipe Massa was in 4th, and we were in 5th position. And there you can see Hami Alguersuari did in fact manage to take 1 point for the Toro Rosso team. So good for him and good for them. And there were no DNFs, were there? No, there weren't. In fact, it was Jarno Trulli who was the lowest driver down in the classifications. So there is the Drivers' Championship now, and as you can see, we are still out in front by just 3 points ahead of Sebastian Vettel. And we've been at the top of the championship since round 3, would you believe it? At Monaco, we've led the way since then, so can we keep it together in Brazil? Well, let's hope so. And nobody else is now within a shout of the title standings. The only other mover, I believe, in the championship was Jenson Button after his podium. He's moved up into 9th place, but apart from that, everything has stayed the same since last round. And now moving on to the Constructors standings. So then you can see that Red Bull have in fact been crowned Constructors champions for 2011. They now have an unassailable lead over Ferrari. Of course, Ferrari, even if they take the maximum 43 points away from Brazil, they can't catch Red Bull. And Williams will have been sort of contributing every single point to them all season. They're still in third, with McLaren in fourth. Lotus in 5th, they leapfrogged Mercedes this round, and Sauber, Toro Rosso and Force India are the other 3 teams to score points this season. And there you can see at the bottom, Virgin, Lotus and HRT yet to score a point. Well, that just about concludes today's episode, guys. And as you can see, next up we've got the Brazilian Grand Prix. It's round number 10 of the season, the finale of Season 2. So there's 3 points in the World Drivers' Championship. We've got a 50% race for you with qualifying as well. So as it says at the bottom, the Season 2 finale is next up for the Ultimate Career. I hope you guys did enjoy today's video. Make sure you leave a like down below if you did, as a show of support. And yeah, hope you guys have a great day. Enjoy it wherever you are. And I'll catch you guys next time. Take care. Bye-bye.